Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are starting the steps on how for you to start your budget. So if you like watching these kind of videos, keep on watching. Alright guys, so these are gonna be maybe about 3 videos of explaining how to do your budget. And the first thing I want you to do is, besides buy a budget book or get a notebook or something to do your budget in, is print out 3 months of your bank account expenses. So you probably have a credit card, or you probably have a bank account, something that obviously you're using to do all your charges, and that's the one, and your bills are the ones that you're gonna print out, and you're gonna go and categorize all of your expenses. So I did a little take notes of what you're supposed to do. Alright guys, so once you print out and you figure out your categories, you're gonna have a few things that are probably in your charges. The number ones are bills, right? Because you pay your bills. So bills will be anything that you pay, like your light, your gas, internet, rent or mortgage. What else? Insurances. Those are all bills that every month they come in and you pay them, right? Then you're gonna have groceries. Then you're gonna have toiletries. Toiletries like toilet paper, cleaning supplies for the home, that kind of stuff. Then you're gonna have debt. Debt is not a bill. Debt is something that you owe, whether it's loans, credit cards, that kind of stuff. Then obviously you want to know how much income you make. So you're gonna have income if you have direct deposit. Then clothing, shoes, nails, hair if you're female, male, otherwise. Clearly everybody has clothes, shoes, nails, and hair. Memberships like Hulu. A lot of people have Apple. We have Apple for Bela. Magazines is a membership. AAA is a membership. That kind of stuff. Car maintenance or gas. So you got like fuel for your car. You have maintenance for your car. Taxes for your car is another one. So we have taxes as a category. Christmas is another one that we spent and people forget about. And then we have medical. Once you figure out your categories will be your sinking funds. So what we do with our budget is we have 4 separate accounts. Separate checking account. Wow. Okay, I didn't die. I survived. So the way we separate our things is we have 4 separate checking accounts. The first account is called our main account. Right? Our second account is called our sinking funds. The third account is my main or my account. And the fourth one was Lex account. Alright, so let me explain the 4 that we have. The main account that we have is all of our bills that you pay. All of our bills go into the main account. Sinking funds is all the categories that we have of things that we purchase that we budget for is the sinking funds, which we do cashless sinking funds because we don't use physical cash. This is the same thing you can do with envelopes, stuff them up with cash. In the beginning, that's how we started our journey. But as we became more noticeable of the things we were doing, and we were more manageable with our budget, and we had eliminated half of our debt, we went to cashless sinking funds. So we no longer stuff envelopes with cash because we can manage it with this one account. So we call it cashless because I carry the bank card with me, and if I'm gonna go buy groceries, I use that bank card. If I go buy toiletries, I use that bank card. If I gotta go buy Bela some clothes, I use that bank card. But we'll get to that soon. But that would be the sinking fund. Then I have my account, my personal account, and Lex had his own personal account. And then that account was more from my personal, whatever I wanted basically to spend on sort of extra money for myself and for gas to travel. So my account had a certain amount for the fuel I spent to get to and fro for work, and money for me to spend. I'll tell you right now, for us two, I believe it was like $100 a week, because we would only do, I want to say it was like 50 for gas times 4 in a month was 200. Then we gave ourselves, I believe it was $50 a week. So 50 times 4. So it was 400. There you go. So 400 a month went into each main account for ourselves. Now if we spent the $400, that's it. No more money went until my direct deposit went through, right? So the first thing you need to do is figure out your expenses, how much you're spending versus your income with your bills. So after you separate all of your expenses and you know what you're spending, right? You're gonna do it in a notebook. You clearly, scrap paper, whatever, anything to do the calculation in. So I'm gonna show you the past 3 months of our expenses that we had. So I'm gonna go back to January. In January here, oh wait, so let's say this is your banking that's coming in. You're gonna put what you have, what is a utility bill, what is a debt, what's your income. Can you see this? Let's push it over. Like that kind of stuff. Then obviously whatever you spend on, then you're gonna give it a category, which is what we have here. It was groceries, home, medical, clothes, car, that kind of stuff. Once you have a balance of how much you spent, right? So I don't have in this book a sort of like a budget, right? That people, if you've seen in other budgeters, they put their income minus their expenses, minus something else, then they have a balance, then they have debt, then they have a balance. I don't have one of those. I use my register as my budget, right? So once you figure out all your categories, the first thing you need to do is find out in a sheet of paper is how much are you spending in your categories, right? So once you figure out how much you're spending for each category within the 3 months that you guys go back and check, right? Once you put them in a category, this is the balance for 3 months of each of my categories. When I first started this journey, we had lots of envelopes with cash in it. As time went by, we got used to the fact of certain things combining them together. So clearly my groceries and my toiletries are in the same bucket. But when I first started, because we were spenders and we weren't really saving anything, we separated the groceries and the toiletries. So I had a bucket for envelope for toiletry. I had an envelope for groceries. The taxes, I had a car tax, and I had, what else did I have for tax? No, we just had car taxes. Membership was always membership. We had a dog named Nina, so we had an envelope for Nina. The car has always been the same bucket. Christmas, I had an envelope for Christmas and I had an envelope for gift. Now everything is just in my Christmas envelope. So the way you gotta go back and you have to see how much you spent for Christmas the prior year. So my suggestion is, obviously right now we're in May, you can go back to December and look and see how much you spent in Christmas. Now, when I went back to look, Christmas, it was a lot of money. So because I'm combining both into one envelope, gifts and Christmas, what I ended up doing is I wrote down for each person that we want to give a gift to. So like right now, the only people who get gifts is my kids, my grandkids, my husband, and that's it, right? Or their significant other. So we have 12 in our family. So what I did was I ended up calculating 100 for Christmas, 50 for gift. So what we did was 150 each times 12, and that's how much we end up putting, how much we fund in the Christmas bucket. If you're spending more than 150 for people, that's insane. If you look back and see if that's the same amount you get in return in gifts for Christmas, then that's fine. But I want to say we were never getting the same return we were spitting out for people. So we decided to just cut to the important ones, which is our kids, our grandkids, and their significant other. Everybody else been cut. All I do is I either bake cookies, I make pies, I give them jelly. I do a homemade kind of giving for Christmas instead of buying gifts. Clothing, that's for me, Bella, and Lexton. So that was always one bucket. And then clothing, I had a clothing envelope, I had a nail envelope, I had a haircut envelope. And after a while, it became, redundant to have an envelope for each thing. And I just combined it into the clothing, but it's really clothing if I want to get my nails done, which is not that often, because I do a lot of gardening. So my nails, if I do my nails twice a year, is a miracle. I get my toes done more often. But it's clothing for the three of us. It's the one who spends the clothing allowance more is Bella, because she's still, she's still a baby. She's not 18 yet, so we still support her. So technically, she's the one that gets more of that bucket than we do. The home bucket right now, it's $335 for funding, but that's because we have our Tennessee journey where we were doing things for Tennessee, and that's where the bucket it was coming out of. So once we move there and we end up not shrinking, but less spending, because now our Tennessee home is done, that's not going to be the same amount. The other thing we had was medical, because I do have an HSA card, but after November is sort of, we use it all. So we still have medical expenses, and then the medical expenses more for if I gotta go to CVS to get me Thermaflu. Like last week I was sick, Thermaflu was the thing. So that's where the bucket came out of. So once you figure out your total, once you figure out what buckets, I call them buckets, but what sinking fund you want to contribute to because you're spending on it, clearly you take the total and then you take this, and because we're doing the prior 3 months, so you're doing January, February, March. I say do January, February, March. Do December for your Christmas bucket, but for the rest of your sinking funds, I would do January, February, March, see what your total is. And once you realize what your total is, you take that total, you divide it by 3, and that's how much technically you should have in your sinking fund, right? That's how much you're going to fund your grocery bucket. So if I take this number and I divide it by 3, I get $378. but I fund $455 because I know somewhere in there I do spend more groceries some months more than others. Once we move to Tennessee, half of our grocery budget probably will be less because we are going to have a garden, and we're gonna end up not overindulging on groceries, right? Because we're gonna end up hold on one second, somebody bothering me. Okay, sorry about that. So once you divide by 3, like I get 378, I would do 400 because groceries, and don't forget, is also toiletries. Some months you might spend more than others. So I would round up to whatever you get for the 3 months. And then every 6 months, in the beginning, obviously the numbers are going to fluctuate. Every 6 months, I would revisit these numbers and go back and recheck. So like once you end up doing this, you're going to end up knowing. So let's say you do decide to buy, count your coins, you will have these totals at the end of every month. So every 6 months I will go back and I will revisit. Once you get the hang of how much money each bucket's supposed to have, then you don't have to revisit. We've been doing this for over 5 years already, so we know we revisit once a year. We don't do it every 6 months. In the beginning we were doing it every 6 months. The other way you can do is sacrifice. So let's say your bucket is $455. Once the money is done, it's done. So, you know, if you're starving to death because you don't have money in your sinking fund for groceries, you know, you're gonna have to pull, you know, some soup from somewhere and just eat soup until your bucket gets full again. So once you realize, so let's go back. I'm getting off track. Once you realize how much each bucket actually supposed to be funded, you have to write that down. So like, let's say you're starting in the beginning, you figured out that every month for your sinking account, you're gonna need 1,800. This is just throwing numbers out there. Then for your bills, you need 3,000 a month, right? Let's say. For hubby and I, we used to do 400, but let's say Lex, me, let's do 400 and 400 a month, right? So if you tally this up, that's 1,800, 3,000, then you have another 800. You know that for your income, you need more than 5,600 in order to fund all of this stuff. So what happens is, obviously, you gotta make sure that your income is more than 5,600 each month. So we do have here your basic categories that you are gonna be in here totaling your income. Then it totals your bills, it totals your debt and all that stuff. So you need to go in there and make sure you're doing, your income is more than what you need. So clearly the first thing you want to do is make sure you have $3,000 for your bills. Okay, $3,000 for your bills. Then you have the sinking funds. So if, let's say you don't have more than 5,600, that means your sinking funds, you will have to manage your income to your sinking funds. All right. So the first thing is you want to make sure you're making more money than your bills, right? So clearly, like, my income, well, our income if I go back to my category, we make about, I think that's not right. That's at 8,000. I'm looking in the months that we had bonuses, so that doesn't count. No, that was the bonus. Okay, so we do make about 8,000. Where am I? Income. Yeah, so you see my income is more than what my total is. So my income is $8,000 a month, and what we spent is $5,600. So that's what you gotta look at. So you have to make sure that your total income is more than all your other expenses, basically. And then if it's not, you guys are gonna have to either get a second job or sacrifice some of your sinking funds to what's more important. Obviously, your bills are important, right? Gas to get to work is important. Sinking funds are important. More like groceries is important. That means you can't have a Christmas bucket. Your clothing bucket is gonna have to have less money in it. So you gotta balance that stuff out, basically. The other thing would be, so once that happens, that's why I say this is what's important. If you're impulse buying a lot, clearly that's gotta stop. Like if you're buying Dunkin' Donuts coffee 3 times a day, talking about $5 times 3 times 5 days a week, you're spending over $75 in coffee. That's crazy. So that kind of stuff you need to make sure you're not doing. You shouldn't count any impulse buys into your budget, because impulse buys don't happen all the time. The other thing is, when you're doing your groceries, clearly you have to be mindful to the things that you're buying, because you know, if you're overspending on cookies and cereal and things that are not healthy for you, then that's something you have to make sure you manage as well. Let's see what else. So I want to say that's it for the first video, because if not, this is going to be forever. So my suggestion is pull your 3 months of expenses, try to categorize them, so and then you can get to the next step of budgeting. Thank you for watching. God bless. Don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I hope this makes sense. Maybe the more we keep doing the budget, the more you understand. I do have videos going back to when we first started this journey. So if you're a little confused, I used to use the bullet journal before I created the Count Your Coins. You don't need Count Your Coins. You can just do it with a regular notebook. As long as you're figuring out what categories you need to do. But I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.